Clouds masked the stars, but the moon was huge and low on the horizon, casting a ghostly path on the sea. 20 minutes later, the bow scraped sand. He laid down the oars and stepped into the muck, which rose to the top of his boots. Cold water sloshed inside, soaking his socks. Glancing back at Vexalia, he made out the black silhouette of the island, shaped like the whale carcass he had once seen floating in the sea. A once magnificent animal, rendered grotesque by death. Shoving the dinghy up the slope was like budging a piano up a ramp. He heaved and got it out of the water, but no further, so he tipped it on its side and dumped the bundle onto the sand. The little craft was still heavy, but light enough to push past the tide mark. He went back, seized the rope that bound the tarp, and tugged, burning his palms. He should have worn gloves. What else had he forgotten? He dropped the bundle next to the dinghy, picked up the shovel, and trudged across the sandbank. He leaned into the wind, the roar all but drowning out the hiss and gurgle of the tide. The flashlight illuminated ghostly clumps of marram grass and flowering sea rockets, colorless in the night. His foot struck something solid. A small sign warning that trespassers would be prosecuted. Trespassing? He gave a short, hysterical snort. Halfway across, he stopped. It was the highest point and escaped flooding at high tide or even during a severe storm, the reason the sandbank was a resting place for birds and seals. He had worried the sand would be packed too hard to shovel, but the top layer was loose, mixed with broken seashells. He set about digging a trench 6 feet long and 2 feet wide. The deeper he dug, the firmer the sand, until it was impossible to dig further. 3 feet down would have to do. He followed his footprints back to the dinghy and pulled the bundle up the rise. The tarp kept catching on clumps of grass, and he had to yank it along. He stopped at the edge of the trench. As he stooped to untie the rope, an urge came over him to see her face one more time. He peeled back the tarp and, with shaking hands, aimed the beam. The pale blue eyes staring back at him blinked. July 2000. Chapter 1. Willem. Jeetje, Dad. Do I have to go? I'm still coughing. Willem gave a little cough to demonstrate. He was perched on the edge of his bed in a pair of smelly pajamas. His sheets hadn't been changed in a week, all through his sweating and shivering. The bottom sheet was stained yellow. Jurjan said it looked as if he had wet the bed, but it was sweat, not pee. Hendrik stood in the doorway, wearing the suit that made him look like a sleek black crow. His black hair was slicked straight back, and his head moved in little jerks as he eyed the room before his gaze landed on Willem. "Take a shower and be downstairs in 10 minutes. Don't forget to bring your cough drops," he said, and flapped away. Willem bunched his fists. His temperature was back to normal, which meant he could play in the field hockey match tomorrow. He had already telephoned his best friend, Boss, with the good news. But it also meant he had to attend his mother's concert tonight. An hour in the car, 2 boring hours in the music hall without an intermission. How many of the stupid concerts had he attended? 1,000,000? He was still perched on the bed when Jurjan came in a few minutes later, rocking from one foot to the other, his arms dangling by his sides. "Hey, Twinny. Dad's waiting in the car." Willem heaved a sigh but didn't move. Jurjan limped to the wardrobe, his right foot turned in, the only outward sign he was different from other 12-year-old boys. Willem felt a twinge of guilt, as he always did when he contemplated his twins' disabilities. Jurjan handed him a pair of dark blue trousers and a white shirt. "Put this on."